Hello, this is the Mind Your Own Business podcast. I'm Guy Kingston. Welcome to the show. Okay, back now to my chat with John.
So, go way back to the beginning and have a look at your belief systems and how you treat other people and what you think of other people. You, as the entrepreneur, will be brilliant at various things that most people are absolutely hopeless at. But they will have their good points too. They will be good at certain things that we as entrepreneurs are not good at.
I've heard this before, that you want to get the best out of people, find out what their good points are, and they will like you for wanting to find out about them.
Yes, their skill sets may not be as economically rewarding as our skill sets, or they may be more rewarding, but it doesn't make them any less valuable.
The second step, the first step then is humility. The second step?
The second step is to look people in the eye. When you talk to them, look them in the eye.
Not all the time, mind.
No, well, you don't want to stare. And it's a pity that we're not on video at the moment, because what I'm actually doing now, John, is looking from your left eye to your right eye and back to your left eye. Now, that movement of my eyes as I flick from one of your eyes to the other is imperceptible to you unless you're really looking out for it. But it makes it look as if I'm looking at you. If you happen to be talking to a room of people, make your eyes move around everybody's face at random. Don't sort of go in a line from left to right and right to left and back and forth or up and down the room. Just look around randomly, but make sure you cover the whole room on a regular basis rather than just talk to 2 or 3 people near the front to the right, for example.
Eye contact, absolutely essential.
Very, very important.
Step 3.
Be a good listener.
Now, this is very important.
It is. You can be regarded as a great conversationalist and hardly say a thing.
Yes.
Now, again, that's sort of the type of thing you might find in a 1960s book sending up the very first generation of self-help literature. But it actually does happen to be very, very true. People love to talk about themselves. And one of the best ways that you can show interest in other people, and of course that's what will get them to like you, is showing interest in them, is providing a forum for them to talk about themselves. And if you don't know what to talk about, usually they're children. Most people, and I will admit, I will confess that I am no exception to this rule, will talk for hours and hours and hours about their children.
Yes, well, please don't on this occasion, Guy, but we take the point. Yes, I agree with this point totally, because I've often found that it pays to remember just one obscure fact about someone which they tell you, and then play it back to them a little while later in casual conversation. And the fact that you have remembered it will make a very big impression on them. Very big. But anyway, step 4.
So now, if you want to be professional about this, it is going to require a bit of work. And work is time. And so you've got to make some judgments here as to what's the best way of investing your time and effort. When you get home, after whatever function you've been at and you've met all these people, make some notes. Remember who you've met.
This is very important, I agree.
And jot down that characteristic, that unusual thing about them.
It helps to keep a diary, doesn't it?
It does. The names of their children, spouse, their favourite hobby or their favourite food, whatever it happens to be.
I've heard of people who keep little index cards, which are very, very useful indeed.
Yeah. So you develop this knowledge base about people and you take an interest in them. But above all, you are going back to where we started from, you are going to have to be sincere about this, because the chap who is just doing this from a mercenary approach will be obvious. You will see through him. You will think he's a very insincere, unpleasant, unsavory sort of character and not the type of person you want to be with. Always smile?
Always?
I think pretty much so. I mean, there are times, perhaps at a funeral you shouldn't be laughing your head off, but you give people a nice smile, a nice, warm welcome.
Sincere smile.
Yes, it's got to be a sincere smile. They take an interest in other people, let them believe that they are the most important person in the world. My father, my godfather's wife told me this about my father. Many years ago, my father, in his early career, was a salesman. He was a travelling salesman, travelling around parts of the country, selling jams and jellies to grocery stores. That was before we had chains of supermarkets. And he was very successful at this, and he was very successful because he charmed the gatekeepers. Now, the gatekeepers in those days was simply the secretary. It wasn't the chap at the security desk to the office. It was the secretary outside the boss's room. And he took an interest in these people, apparently. He's never told me this himself. I've heard this at second hand. But he took an interest and he got to know people. He learnt their names. He learnt their hobbies, their interests. He found time to chat with them, to show concern for their troubles and their worries. And he built up a pool of friends, really. So when he would arrive in a certain town on a Tuesday, because that was on his circuit, he'd go around every month or every 4 weeks, you have this cycle, and he'd be in town X on Tuesdays. But the owner of the biggest grocery store in that town only saw salesmen on Friday afternoons. What did my dad do? He managed to get in on a Tuesday. He would manage to make sure that his proposal was the one that the guy saw.
It helps if you have a genuine liking for people.
It does. I've also met a venture capitalist who said, slightly tongue-in-cheek, but I think there was an underlying, very large underlying element of truth to this, that their receptionist was as good as any other system they had of spotting the winners. So they'd do all their due diligence, they'd do all their analysis, they'd go through all the business plans and look at everybody's qualifications and all that. But their track record could not beat simply asking the receptionist, what did you think of them? And she may have only interacted with them briefly, 10, 30 seconds. But she had an intuition to spot the winners.
That doesn't surprise me at all. I have the highest opinion of the executive rank of secretaries. They really are, as a breed, the most impressive people, far more impressive than the executives themselves usually.
So, John, to conclude this brief little aside on charisma, are you now persuaded it is possible to be more charismatic?
I think the advice that you give in every single point is excellent and sound in itself, and I hope to put it into practice in my own life. Whether or not it makes you more charismatic, I don't know, but it's certainly a good business practice, every single point of it.
Thank you.
That's it for today. Thank you very much for listening. I'm Guy Kingston, and that was Mind Your Own Business.